First, we want to thank the Imam. Imam, that was a beautiful and wonderful explanation of justice, and we're blessed to have you as our community leader to help us understand the straight path of justice. So thank you for that. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I just wanted to spend a minute just summarizing what I heard from the Imam, and I'll try my best. The first thing that I think was important, you heard there, Allah has beautiful names, as you know, many names. And one of the beautiful names of God, as the Imam said, was Al-Adal. And Al-Adal means the all-just. And that is one of the names of God. And in fact, this is one of the Surah Al-Nahl. This is Surah 16. It says, "Indeed, Allah commands justice, good conduct, and giving to relation. And He forbids immorality, bad conduct, and oppression. He admonishes you that perhaps you will be reminded." This is Surah Al-Nahl. Another one of the surah that the Imam mentioned, he says, "O you who believe, obey Allah, obey the Messenger, and those in authority among us, or among you." And that's what you'll hear from the lieutenant in a bit. That is very important. That's all part of justice. So this verse reminds us that in addition to justice, we have to obey authority. And as I mentioned before, Al-Adal, which is all just, is not just one of the name of Allah, but it's also a principle that we are commanded to uphold in our daily lives. So, in summary, as Muslims, we live with certainty with Allah's justice, that Allah's justice is perfect and absolute. That's what we live with. However, if a person is wronged in this world, in this temporary life, they will surely see complete justice in the afterlife, in the Akhirah. And that is key, because if we believe that, it'll give us patience, strength, and trust in Allah's wisdom. And the last but not least, before I introduce the lieutenant, Allah has placed systems of justice on earth, as the Imam just said. So for example, the Al-Adal, which is all-just, in this land here, the American justice system was actually built on values of fairness and equality for all. And here in our own city of Clermont, we are blessed to have the Clermont Police Department. And they are entrusted with protecting and serving our community, the broader community, and serving them with fairness and dignity, as the Imam just spoke about. So we recognize that as you think about how we interact with individuals with authority, it's important that we understand how to apply justice in terms of how we interact with them and how we manage our situation. And as the Imam said, a wrong with a wrong is never right. So with that said, brothers and sisters, in practicing fairness, cooperation, and mutual respect, that is the key to how we interact with our community and our individuals in authority. And with that said, I want to introduce our special guest speaker, Lieutenant Melissa Franz from the City of Clermont Police Department.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, first and foremost. Chief Graysick does send his regards. He apologizes that he couldn't be here tonight to speak with you, but in his place, you get to meet me. A little bit about myself. I've been with the Clermont Police Department for a little over 16 years. I started out early on in my career. I was a lawyer before I was a police officer, and I didn't like being a lawyer. And I switched over and got into law enforcement, and I love it. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. So I really enjoy coming to do stuff like this. So again, thank you for welcoming me in and allowing me to observe you in your in an intimate part of your lives. I do appreciate that, and we appreciate that at the Clermont Police Department. It's often said that our chief likes us to get out and interact and integrate with the community so we can be exposed to things that we aren't normally exposed to in our everyday lives. So again, it is a privilege and an honor to be here to talk to you tonight. With that said, the agenda that they wanted me to speak about was etiquette and basically just how to engage and interact with law enforcement on a traffic stop if you're ever pulled over, or even if you just encounter a law enforcement officer. How many people in here have been pulled over by a police officer before? Raise your hand. How many people in here enjoyed being pulled over by a police officer? Okay. So, with that said, I will admit to you, I have been pulled over in my personal vehicle, and even after being in law enforcement for all of the years that I've been in, when I see the red and blue lights behind me and I get pulled over, I get a pit in my stomach, I get anxious, I get nervous, and I get scared. And I'm a police officer, so I could imagine, I don't remember honestly when I got pulled over as a civilian, but I know that I get nervous as a police officer, so it's completely natural to be nervous and scared on a stop. However, truly, I know that there's bad people in every facet of the world that we live in, but honestly, the Clermont Police Department, not just because I work there, we do have a great agency. I trust all of the officers and my coworkers that I work with, and again, we are big on interacting with the community, so I hope that if you do encounter one of us, that it is a positive experience. If it's not a positive experience, as a lieutenant, I am a patrol lieutenant, which means right now, if something major happens in the city, I'm the watch commander. So every decision has to be made through me, not the chief. Eventually I would call the chief, but something major happens right now, it's my shots that are being called and my responsibility. So I take that job very seriously. And interacting with citizens and having it be a positive experience with you guys is important to us. So if you are pulled over, I'm just going to use a traffic stop as this example. Some of the main items that you always want to have with you even if you're going as a passenger, you should always have your driver's license on you, first and foremost. If you're driving, please have a valid driver's license, but always have some type of identification on you. Not just because of if you're going to get pulled over, but even as a passenger. I was the traffic sergeant for 2 years, and I've seen over a dozen traffic fatalities. And when we have to try to identify people and they don't have anything on them, my main priority was always trying to get everyone identified so I could get in contact with family. If the person had been unfortunately lost their lives, obviously I would want to get out and get that information. But if someone's just hurt, you're scared, you obviously want your loved ones there. So it's always great to have your ID on you. But again, if you're driving, valid driver's license, the registration for your vehicle, the registration is going to be that the form. It's usually about this long. It's white, black letters. It has the sticker on it that you put on your tag of your vehicle, on your license plate. You want to have that in your glove box, as well as proof of insurance. Now, this day and age, a lot of insurances are on your cell phone. I do recommend you're still able to take a screenshot of that and print it out. Again, when you get pulled over by an officer, you're anxious, you're nervous, even though you see that in your center console every single day, 365 days of the year, but when the police officer is standing there and you're nervous and you're looking and you're passing over things. So I recommend just having everything printed out and ready to go. You can even get at Walmart a little book that you can hold all of that stuff in. So that way I have one in my personal car. If I get pulled over, I don't have to start flipping through everything. It's right in my glove box. I pull it right out and just hand it to the police officer. If you are an immigrant, you want to have your immigration documents with you, a visa, a green card, work permit, etc. It's always great to have that stuff with you when you're traveling, just so if, again, you're being questioned on something, you could just hand everything over and the officer could go over all of those documents. Something else that some people may not think about but is good, if you have one of those books, put your emergency contact in there, even if it's just written on, a piece of paper. Call in an emergency, so again, the police can have that. Some tips: when we approach you, obviously you're gonna see the red and blue lights. Pull over to the safest location. I know a lot of times people immediately get scared, and just for example, in Clermont, our major roadways are State Road 50 and Highway 27. Well, we all know what a nightmare traffic is in Clermont in the year 2025. People will just slam their brakes on and stop dead in the middle of the road. Try to pull over somewhere within reason so it's safe for you, it's safe for the officer, and it's safe for everyone around. Best advice: when you see the officer is behind you, roll your windows down, put your hands on your steering wheel, just remain in a neutral position, and just wait for the officer to approach. Again, sometimes the officer may be running some information, so he or she may be sitting in their car. Again, if you have everything ready, you can go ahead and pull that out and just have that ready when the officer comes to speak with you. Very important, and I can tell you from my personal experience, try to be polite. Trust me, it's a lot harder to give someone a ticket when they're being polite to you than when they're being rude to you. So always just be polite. We are out there to do a job. I know no one likes to get pulled over, but at the end of the day, you see all the accidents that we have here. We do have a traffic enforcement unit, and their job is to write tickets. Their job is to, try to keep the roadways as safe as possible. So again, just try to be as courteous as possible. Not saying, you have to be overly friendly or above and beyond, but it's just always good if you have a nice interaction or a good demeanor with the officer. That's going to make the experience a lot more positive. If there are any type of immigration concerns and you don't understand something, you have the right to speak with an attorney. So if the officer is asking you questions, again, supply your information: driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, if you have immigration documents. But if something is you're not clear on something, you have the right to tell the officer that, hey, I'm not really understanding, I would like to speak with an attorney, and then they'll try to walk through that. Now, again, if you're getting pulled over for a traffic infraction, that's not criminal, it's a civil infraction. But if there's something that you're not understanding, communicate that with the officer, because the more you communicate, then the more you're going to be able to come to some type of resolution. As far as I was informed when I met Brother Sai outside, you guys have 2 contacts or point of contacts when you have any type of questions or interactions with the police here that you're able to reach out to. The 2 that I have listed are Brother Sai and then Brother Kamal Rahman. And I'm sure that I do have phone numbers here for them, but they will be able to provide those to you if you have any questions. Again, at the end of the day, I want for you to just have a positive experience, and communication is key. So the officer, when they do approach you, they should identify themselves. So, good evening, I'm Lieutenant France with the Clermont Police Department. They should give you the reason why they pulled you over. The reason I pulled you over tonight is you went through the red light at Hancock and 50. The officer then will usually say to you, may I please see your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. If you have that ahead of time, as I instructed you, you can have that ready. Or if not, because sometimes we get nervous and just kind of freeze, just tell the officer, hey, everything it's in my purse or it's in the glove box, and let them know what you're doing. We do get nervous when people start reaching around for things, especially at night. If you've never done this job, then you probably wouldn't understand it, but you never know who you're encountering, and it is very dark out here, and even when we're shining the flashlight, it's hard to see. Everyone has tinted windows. So again, just communicate with the officer what it is that you're doing, where you're reaching for something or what you're reaching for, and again, the experience should go by positively. Now, if in the event that you have an officer, which I don't I hope this doesn't happen, but if you have an officer that's being rude to you from the start, or you feel that they have an attitude with you from the start and you're not comfortable with them, you are completely, still provide the information that we asked you for, license, registration, and insurance, but you also have the right to ask, can you get your sergeant or your lieutenant? I would like a supervisor here. And that officer should call over the radio and get a supervisor to come on scene with you. Again, under Florida law, if you are operating a motor vehicle, you should have your driver's license with you, your registration, and your insurance. If you're operating a vehicle that doesn't belong to you, if you're borrowing someone's car, before you leave, I would make sure you ask where those documents are, because you have no idea how much junk people keep in their glove compartment. I mean, there's registrations from 20 years. It's cars that they had 10 years ago, and they'll hand me a registration for a boat or a motorcycle, and it's crazy. So if you want to be really proficient, keep your car neat and clean and tidy, but again, make sure that your documents are up to date. Even if you go through the car wash, kind of look through there. People have a tendency, when the new one comes in, they just shove it on top of the old one, and then literally they'll hand us a pile of stuff. And again, it's not really safe for us on the side of the road, and it's not safe for you, because people are driving, looking at what they're doing, they veer, they run the officer over, but then they're also running into your vehicle. So with that said, that's pretty much the best advice that I could give you in regards to having any encounters with law enforcement. Like I said, just stop, listen to what they're saying, provide your identification or whatever documents they're asking for. If you're uncomfortable, you have the right to ask for a supervisor. And just remember, if you do get pulled over for something, hypothetically, you get pulled over because the officer said you went through a red light or you went through a stop sign, and you are 1,000,000% certain you didn't go through the red light, you didn't go through the stop sign, that's fine. Let the officer could still do what they're going to do, whether they write you a ticket or a warning. If they do write you a ticket, all you do is choose the option to take it to court, and then you go and you express your side of the story to the hearing officer or the judge, and then that can be sorted out in court. But again, it's not safe to be having an interaction. We want to get the traffic stops in and out as quickly as possible, because again, I've seen a lot of people, when they're driving and not paying attention, run into parked cars or that are broke down or that are pulled over on the side of the road.